All right, that looks good. And welcome, peer listers. I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing Kai Roer. Kai is an author, a speaker, coach, and his specialization is security culture. He's the architect of the security culture framework, and among his many accomplishments, he's been appointed a fellow of the National Cybersecurity Institute in Washington, D.C. As well, he will be involved with the upcoming Security Culture Conference taking place this June in Oslo, Norway. So Kai, welcome, and I'd love to start out with talking to you about security culture and having you give us your definition of what that is.
Thank you, Cheryl, and thank you, peer listeners. It's a great honor to be here. Hopefully some pleasure as well, although that pleasure may not be on you looking at me with the current dress.
Hacker attire.
Yeah, sometimes I wear a tie, but on my forehead, right? So security culture. The way I define that is by using the sociology definition found in the Oxford Dictionary, the customs, the ideas, and the social behavior of a particular group, and that impact their security or keeps them free from threat and danger, if you like. There are three parts, besides for the security thing there, there are three parts in that definition that is really important. First is the ideas, which are the knowledge or the thoughts that you have. And this we can, to some extent, call the awareness. Then you have the customs. Customs are everything that you just happen to do. You may not be really aware of them, but you still do them. For example, using the same passwords everywhere. It's easy, it's a habit, it becomes a custom. And then you have the social behavior. And social behavior is a subset of the behavior of a person. So you can think of this as behavior being all the behaviors I have, including, for example, dressing like this when I'm in my home. And I even have this hoodie, right? So I could become this crazy hacker dude, if you want to believe that. But that's all of the behavior. Social behavior are that particular subset of my behaviors that I choose to show in a particular group. So let me give you an example here. When I am in my home with my family, I have a special social group, right? So I adjust my behavior to there. This behavior will be different to when I am at the office with my colleagues. Then I adjust my behavior based on that social setting.
Right.
A third one is, for example, going to a prospective client, and this is, for example, a world-leading bank. Of course, in a bank, I could not show up like this, not talking to the guys I usually meet there. I would be expected to adjust my behaviors to their social group, meaning tying up, Italian suit, you know the drill. And these are social behaviors. The reason I focus on social behaviors in this context is when we want to understand people and how people interact at work or with other people when it comes to security, it makes a lot of sense understanding how strong the social bonding is and just how strong my urge, my need to adapt to those expectations of that group.
Excellent. And we see that. We see how people will conform depending on the environment and the influences around them. Peer influence. It's very strong.
Yeah, and conformity, as you point to there, is also something very, very fascinating. Dr. Solomon Asch, back in the late 50s and throughout the 60s, did a lot of very fascinating research on conformity. For example, he would facilitate the group setting, right? So let's say that you have 5-6 people in a room, and then you introduce a study subject that believes that the other 5, 6 people in the room are also study subjects. So he thinks that we are all on the same page. Then the group is shown, for example, one line like this, pencil, whatever,
Right.
and then a comparison with 3 different sized lines or whatever it was. And the question is, so which of these lines are the equal size of this one? The funny thing, though, is that this subject that was doing the research, he would always be the last to answer. And what he did not know is that number 1 here would choose whatever he wanted, right or wrong answer, and the rest of them would answer the exact same thing that the first one. That was a drill. So imagine that you see these 2 objects, and the question is, so which one of these 3 objects over here, for example, are equal size as this one? And the first one says, well, it got to be B, which you, with your bare eyes, see is as different as these 2, right?
Yeah.
They are not equal at all.
No.
But the first one says, well, it's something else. And then you think, so this guy is stupid, is not able to observe anything, maybe he needs glasses, just like I do, right? So it's on the other person. Person B starts, well, yeah, it's B. Then the next one, it's B. And everybody, until this last student, says the same thing. And somewhere in between here, this student starts to wonder, so is there something wrong with me? Am I not seeing or getting this correctly? That's one possible explanation. Because he also tends to say B. He tends to answer the same as the rest. So either he starts doubting his own perception, or, and this is Dr. Solomon's preferred explanation, he conforms to the group because he do not want to stand out. So instead of saying, well, actually, guys, it's not B, it is A, because hello, open your eyes, he decides to say B because that's what the group says.
Right.
What is important here is that he is not really a member of the group. These are 7 strangers meeting in a room and facilitated. So still, even if he don't know these people and don't belong with them, he conforms to the group.
And that sounds like the psychology of security.
Yeah.
We could have another talk about that. I'm going to stop us here for the moment.